any good thing that he's sharing with you, even if it's just like if he's saying I love you. You know how many times I've rejected that as God and said, "Oh, that's just because I've practiced that so much. That's just my own brain now saying that back to me." And I've just had to continually sit and receive that God has, I love how C.S. Lewis says this. He has infinite leisure in his accent, infinite leisure to focus on you. Hey guys, it's Brain Retraining. I am excited for video number 4 for this month, and I feel like every time I've tried to make my videos this month, it is windy. And I'm kind of bummed about that, but it is what it is, and I want to be outside while I still can. Okay, so video 4, talking about patterning after Christ for healing, for life, choosing life, following His ways. We talked about we talked about the case study with the life of Saint Anthony. We've talked about the spiritual noose, the spiritual receiver, the ways we can know things, and the ways to get away from the ways that we've formerly thought we could know things, which was very reductionist and scientific method oriented, which is not helpful to be able to pattern a real life as a human being or to live a life as a human being. Today, I actually want to just follow up. This will be a shorter video, specifically on essentially the message I want to get across is quite simple. If you've watched all 4 videos, I want you to hear this. Every good thought that you receive is from the Lord. I want you to live today listening to every good thought that comes to you and receive it like it's from the Lord. So if there's any moment that you even look in the mirror and you're like, oh, I think I look good. I look, not that that happens a lot to everybody, but I'm just saying if that happens to you, receive it as from the Lord. Anything that comes to you about God's love for you, and this becomes easier to receive the more that you're practicing it neurologically and emotionally, the way we've talked about it, inviting the Holy Spirit in to receive it, saying yes to Him, going through the awkward resistance that comes up as you feel like that's a hard thing to receive, and He's wanting to show you. So if you have any little, just even a little seed of that, pay attention today, extra attention to that, and recognize you didn't make that up. That is something that your nous is perceiving from the Lord. Your nous, that spiritual receiver that I was talking about, that organ, that perception organ, it is there, and it is receiving that from the Lord. So anytime you have thoughts about, or every thought that you have about God's love for you, or maybe even to care for somebody else, or to make something beautiful, if it's to do a party for somebody, or to, to plant a garden that's, patterned after, I can't do this stuff. I'm not one to make things pretty. God, give me that gift. But if that's it, if you're experiencing that, receive that as God speaking to you. I want to just help you guys to get a little more practical with your receiver and listening and hearing that God really truly is speaking to you. It might not sound like words. In fact, if we were to reduce our relationship with God down to conversations on the phone, think about it would be very reduced. It's very limited, right? So when you experience Him, it's not always going to be through words that you're hearing Him speak. Language is not only just, or communication and experiencing and interacting with somebody else's essence, let's just say, isn't just going to be verbal, isn't just going to be like a phone conversation. So like if and what's actually really, if you think about it, all us human beings kind of already know this. If a husband and wife were to never be able to speak together, to one another, but they were able to be together all the time, versus a husband and wife who can't ever be together, but they can talk to each other on the phone, which would be a better relationship? I think everyone would agree that a relationship, even if they can't speak to one another, but they're able to be and interact and every other way that you can as a husband and a wife, that's a better relationship than two people that can only talk to each other on the phone. So I'm hoping that what I'm saying is that there's ways in which you can now hear God without it being necessarily words. It can be impressions. It can be like the desire to make beauty, for example. My desire to help people and help them heal is from the Lord. So I take that and I receive that as from the Lord. So you want to receive that thought, impression, desire, integrate it, and respond to it, and you will become more like Him. That pattern of purification, of theosis that I've talked about, which is, I don't know the exact definition of theosis, other than that it's like the process that we're going on to be taken into the image of God, to be more and more like Him. So we have the ability. No, before I go there, something that really blessed me in 2 Corinthians, when we think about God being, and this is just one pattern of Christ that we can think about, He's the prodigal giver. God is a prodigal giver. Jesus Christ gave us the story of the prodigal son, and we see the Father coming out and lavishing His love on him when he's returning. He's not even like all the way back. He's halfway there. The Father's been waiting for him. He comes out. He puts the coat on him. He puts the sandals on him. He has the fatted calf, slaughtered. They're going to have a party for him. He comes and he falls on his son. And I think that word is it perizo? I forget. It's a falling of compassion, and it's the same word that's actually used in Acts when it talks about the Holy Spirit coming and falling upon people. It's this, why am I saying all that? I love to think of that Father as the prodigal Father. He's prodigally giving himself, almost recklessly, if you will. And God's not reckless, but He's like consistently, lavishly giving and giving and getting, like so beyond luxury, right? Like just extravagant. And so God, as this extravagant giver, is calling us into following His pattern. And actually, this is funny. I didn't even realize that in my Bible it says this in 2 Corinthians 8, and right before verse 8 in my Bible it says, Christ our pattern as the heading. That's hilarious. But the beginning of chapter 8 says, excel in giving. And I know that this chapter is specifically about finances, and that's awesome. I think there's so much that we can take out of it financially. But I want you to think about giving of yourself in relationships, giving of yourself in different ways that He's calling you to give of yourself. He says here, after he's imploring them essentially to abound in this grace. It's a grace to give. It's a grace that God gives us to give. And then he says, this is after the part where it says Christ our pattern. It says in verse 10, and in this I give advice. It is to your advantage not only to be doing what you began and were desiring to do a year ago, but now you also must complete the doing of it, that as there was a readiness to desire it, so there also may be a completion out of what you have. For if there is first a willing mind, it is accepted according to what one has, and not according to what he does not have. Okay, so what am I saying? God's saying, I'm gracing you to give. If you've had a desire, there was a readiness there. And that readiness, that willingness, it was accepted. Again, received, accepted, if you will, in your nous, according to what you have, according to what one already has, and not according to what he does not have. Why am I saying this? Because oftentimes we get that sense of like, oh, I want to help somebody. I want to give to them. And then we don't follow through because we count the cost and we think, I can't do it. I don't have it. And what the Lord has stretched me to see, first, up in verse 7, how he says, see that you abound in this grace also. But as you abound in everything, but as you abound in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all diligence, dang it, stop it. I'm waiting for this, to die down. Oh boy. Beautiful sunset, actually. But as you abound in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all diligence, and in your love for us, see that you also abound in this grace also. He's specifically talking about giving. And then he's going on to explain, if you had a readiness to desire it, if you desired it, there was a readiness, right? He's saying, it is to your advantage not only to be doing what you began and were desiring to do a year ago, but now you must also complete the doing of it. He's offering them the opportunity, inviting them into the grace of God to complete it. And there is a reality that when we give, we receive. And he's offering them and inviting them into this. And he's describing this as to help them understand discerning, to pattern their life after Christ, to follow him, like I'm saying. So I'm trying to hopefully get to the point where you can see that God is helping us to be more like him. And in being more like him, we become more whole, wholly human, whole, interior and exteriorly free. I know ultimately people are here for healing, and you feel like you're just a sick person trying to get healed, and I'm like calling you so much further, but I pray that one day if this isn't, it's not hitting you today, that it will at some point get to you to understand how miraculously amazing God's grace is at work when we accept it. So he's saying to the people that it is so to your advantage, not only be doing it to your advantage, not only be doing what you began and you were desiring to do a year ago. So they had a desire and they began it, but they didn't finish it. But now you also must complete the doing of it, complete the doing, complete the action. That as there was a readiness, that's what he's saying. He's telling them there was a readiness to desire it. If you desired it, there was a readiness. So there also may be a completion out of what you have. For if there is first, he's telling them, you have it. This is how he's saying it. For if there is first a willing mind, it is accepted according to what one has, and not according to what he does not have. So you desired it, you wanted to do it, complete it, because you have it. Follow it. Obey that leading. It's not that you don't have it. And that so has challenged me to learn to follow the prodigal giving nature of Christ. He calls us to go out and literally he washes his disciples' feet. He humbles himself to give and give and give. Everybody that comes to him, he heals. He always has the time for these people. The people that, were considered the sinners and the lowly people. He went to them. He sought some of them out even, and they came to him, and he healed the multitudes. He cared for them. He always had other people on his mind, in conjunction with staying always in line with the Father's will, in obedience, in that loving relationship with God. So if we want to pattern our lives after Christ, there are ways in which we need to give. And I can tell you that in my life, when I didn't feel like I had something to give, I could tell in my heart that I needed to make a conscious decision, even if it felt like that person has more than me, I don't have that, this is costing me more than what they're going to get out of it. All kinds of thoughts that were trying to justify me not giving of myself in a certain way to somebody else. That as I was spending enough time with the Lord consistently, especially in rounds, and I was receiving that I could feel these things in my heart, and I had to obey them. And as I did, I broke out of bondage. There was an advantage to me following and obeying that. And I've been, and still am being, continually made more like him. Okay. Right, so we want to be trained to focus on the thoughts being given to us from God. So the point of this, the beginning was, every good thought you receive is from the Lord. Pay attention today, if you want to today, this whole week, pay attention to the things that are coming from him, the good thoughts, just the good thoughts, that's God. And turn away from anything that is not good. And recognize if that thought is there, it's God speaking to me. And just turn away from those other thoughts. You might think, gosh, I've been trying that all my, that's what I've been doing in Brain Retraining. I'm trying to give you one simple thing to do that's going to help you to understand that you're not this tortured prisoner in the dungeon of a castle. But understanding that we can just do these simple things and recognize that we are not our thoughts. And we perceive these things and we all have this noose that I was talking about. It just starts to put us out on the walls of that castle instead. And we're there to now guard the entrances. And if the enemies come to the gates and they seem to get through, that we can capture them and send them away. But when the king comes to the castle, to the gate, we open the door and we welcome him in. So we can welcome him in when those good thoughts are coming. So I'm keeping this short because I just wanted to focus on that one specific thing. Any good thing that he's sharing with you, even if it's just like if he's saying I love you. You know how many times I've rejected that as God and said, oh, that's just because I've practiced that so much. That's just my own brain now saying that back to me. And I've just had to continually sit and receive that God has, I love how C.S. Lewis says this, he has infinite leisure in his accent, infinite leisure to focus on you. He's infinite. He can focus on me and you and everybody else so perfectly to know the number of hairs on my head and your head. He has infinite leisure to pay attention to us. He wants to speak and share and give. He's so humble in the way that he does it. I'm continuing to grow myself in this, but I just thought that I would share this with you guys today. It's now starting to get dark out, so smelling someone's lovely grilled barbecued food too. So I just pray that you guys get this message and that it blesses you guys and you can continue on your journey. And again, as always, I am here if you want help. I'm doing lots of individual coaching. I've got my Gateway to Healing program. In fact, by the time this is going up, I'm pretty sure I will have finished it, if not just in the middle of it right now, the week of September 16th. And then also have my Abundant Life class. And I have another class that I may or may not be advertising right now. I won't say it. But there's so many good things that are going on. So many people that are coming to understand the wonderful journey of really learning how to walk in their faith, that in a process that they get to do it with the Lord in, and in a community, in a safe community. So God bless you all, and I'll see you next time.